I'm still struggling. I'm still fighting some addictions in life. So I had to actually even delete certain things that I see in my phone that are actually what I'm doing, so that I can escape such kind of habits in my life. So I even had to install some apps where I don't want to see what actually I'm doing that is wrong.
One of the most effective tools you have for sharing your faith is your personal story of how Jesus has changed your life and met your deepest needs. Your personal conversion, when shared effectively, will often awake deep spiritual needs and naturally lead people to know more about the power of the gospel. Your testimony will provide an irrefutable evidence that God is not a liar and His word is not a fairy tale. Your testimony changes the Bible from a dusty book to a living, working reality. Tell them how you found Jesus. Tell them what blessings comes as you sit at the feet of Jesus and the precious lessons from His word. Tell them of the gladness and joy that there is in the Christian life.
Hello, my names are Caleb Omondi Wandiek. I come from Homa Bay, a place known as Oyugis. That is where I was born. Currently, I'm studying at Kabarak University, a fourth year final year student. So far, I can say the Lord is good because of the far He has brought me. It has been indeed a journey, not actually at the beginning with Him. And that is what I want to share this time, that I am one person who grew in a society that was so diverse, a society that had got a lot of frictions, a lot of lack of certain information, and me joining the university had made me learn a lot of things. So my life before, I can say it was a little bit challenging, but so far I want to thank God for thus far. I grew up under the care of my mom, and I can say not 100% because at some points he was going to work and we could only meet over the weekend. So I think the larger percentage of my life I did stay with my mom, and therefore I can say most probably I did not enjoy that full parental care because of the diversity in the society. So at a point I began my own life because now that I was off from my parents, so I had to engage in certain things as a young man, as a young person. So most of the decisions I used to make on my own, and I had a lot of beliefs, a lot of systems that I believed in. When I was young, I used to believe in certain things like my parent does not care what I do. They're not interested in my affairs. So I can just actually be outgoing, interact with people, learn new things. Whatever I learn, I am the one who know what I'll judge based on what I get from my friends. So it came a point when now I had to make a decision. That is a spiritual decision. While I was young, church was just next to our home. It was next to our home, just a throw stone. You just throw a stone and it reaches our church. It means that is an indication that it was very close to my home. But I can say, fortunately or unfortunately enough, in the entire family where I lived, it's only me who actually went to church. So the reason as to why I was interested in joining church, some years around, I can say some 15 years back down the line, what made me join the church is the music. I am a person who loves music, I love singing. So there could be choir trainings in our church. I just hear ladies and gentlemen, men and women who sing very well, and I could ask myself, what actually makes these people to sing? So I was so curious on how music was coordinated, music was organized. So it aroused my curiosity, and maybe in a nutshell, I can say I love music, and currently I do compose a lot of songs, things just by the love of God towards me. So time went by. I grew up. I went to high school, and high school that I think that was the another turning point. You know, as much as I joined the church around 15 years back, I think it was a decision that I even made on my own, because I actually believe that everything that I do, I'm not even supposed to consult my parents, because I believe that they have nothing to do with my life, because they are people who are far away. So I had to make some decisions which are so sensitive, like getting to baptism while I joined Form 1. But I later realized that the baptism I joined is a baptism that was motivated by, it's called a group thing, something that is motivated by friends. You see a friend hearkening unto the call, without me necessarily even knowing the reason as to why such friend has hearkened to that call. I just joined the baptism, and I thought that it is the right kind of baptism I went into through. So later on, when I began investigating my life, I came to realize that I'm facing a lot of challenges that I cannot actually press through, I cannot actually overcome. So a lot of things came to my mind, and therefore now I had to leave home. You know, life normally places you in different places in the world. So I had to leave home for quite a very long time. I had to be in the custody of another person who is not actually my parent. So I had to stay there. And you know, when you stay in another place where you are very far from parents, the people you are staying with might not actually know your interest, because they do not have the foundation ever since you were born. So I was exposed to a lot of things that even they were not following, because the main reason why I actually went to stay with those people, not my friends, was because I was to go to school in another place. So necessarily the main objective is that Caleb goes to school, Caleb finds fee to go to school, Caleb finds food, but other matters that are deep inside my life, they could not actually press through. I can't blame them, but that is how life normally actually puts people. So because now I realize that there is a lot of freedom, they are not actually following my life, they are not interested in what I really actually do, in what I do in school, you know, during the long holidays. As long as I pass, as long as I get good grades, that was just enough. Because, you know, people normally looks at you and they say, this person is doing well. If he can perform well, of course, I had also some leadership roles in high school. Ever since I joined Form 1, I had been into leadership. I was a leader from 1 all the way to Form 4. So I want to take you shortly backly before I actually finished my school. I can say that was the turning point. That was the turning point of everything. It was a very significant stage in my life. So you see, I got to be exposed to different people who want actually to let you be exposed, because probably they realize that I've not been exposed to a lot of things that youths normally do. So when I got to interact with this person, you see, I was exposed to certain things that I do not actually know. So I went on doing all this. I can actually say they're not good things. They are actually rock people. They are things that makes you uncomfortable, and at the end of the day, you get to be addicted. You get to be addicted in such fact. So they take much of my time. They actually even interferes with my thinking capacity. They interfere with even my academics, because at some point I get to realize that which has been introduced into could not actually make me even perform well in class. So this went on. It is something that really pressed me so much, but then I had to continue because I did not have a way out. So I even lost interest of even going to church, because when I go to church, you remember I've been baptized, I'm a senior member in church. So I came to a point and I realized that even going to church is of no use, because when I try to compare what I'm doing out of church they are conflicting. They cannot come into common. So this thing continued for the rest of high school, and I can say now, when I actually joined the university, I can say now I somehow began to be convicted of certain things, because I get people from different localities. When you get exposed to the university setup, you get people from all corners of the world. So you get the ideas, you compare them with your ideas, you try to strike the balances, try to actually see where actually you're not doing it well, where actually you're doing well. So you begin to question some of the things some of the advances that I do. So I got to be convicted of these things. I learned when I went to church, I learned of many things. But remember that while I was still in the university, that habit, the habit that I was introduced into, that was so addictive, was so pressing, it was so irritating, discouraging, it made me to be distressed at many points. So it just continued, and yet, in the university, people looked at you, they see you are happy, they greet you. They actually cannot realize that you're going deep down inside your heart, you're going through a lot. You just put a smiling face, but there is that battle, there is that struggle I'm going through. So this thing continued on, and day by day, as I live, as I go to church, people also tell me, you need to get into leadership, you have got some leadership skills. I just agree, because I'm one person who believes that when I have a call when I hear somebody maybe say that I'm supposed to be leading certain positions, I do say that is a call from God. So I just necessarily accept the call, and I say it is okay, I can be just a leader. But when I call myself to a meeting, when I come to a self-realization, a self-examination, at the end of the day, I realize that it's in vain, because I'm still struggling, I'm still fighting some addictions in life. So this thing continued for the very first years of my life in the university. So now it came to a point that I said, no, it cannot continue this way. There is something that I need to do. As somebody grows, you get to learn, you get to change some habits in life. So I actually had to now make a decision, and the decision that I wanted to make was a very critical decision. But I want to tell you that I did a lot of things in my own effort to actually overcome such kind of addictions that I was introduced to, that I was exposed to. So I made a lot of efforts with my own strength. I wanted to actually be very keen with my own efforts. That is what I want to stress. So I had to actually even delete certain things that I see with my phone that are actually what I'm doing, so that I can escape such kind of habits in my life. So I even had to install some apps where I don't want to see what actually I'm doing that is wrong before actually the eyes of God and even the eyes of men. So what I did, I invested a lot in ensuring that my life is at peace with God, but I realized that was not sufficient. I still realized some, spiritual deficiency. I still saw some deficiency in my life. So it continued that way, and I had to now make a stand decision. So I went to my house one day, I sat down, and I told myself that, Caleb, you can still do better in life. You can actually still make a decision, because it's not late. This thing you're going through, people have overcome, and it is not only you who goes through all this. So that is now me speaking to myself. Sometimes it is interesting when you speak to yourself. It's very confidential. So I decided to actually pray. I had to pray. But you see, I pray, but I cannot actually doubt the power of prayer. But I think as far as far as I'm concerned, there is something much more. There's something much more that somebody has to do, even beyond what you're doing at the moment. And you need to push, like you need to part waters. I realize that it is not enough to pray, because Even I used to pray, but I realized even my prayer still had got some doubts. I was still doubting whether is it really possible to overcome all this just by prayer alone. So I prayed. Yes, I prayed. I even invited my friends to help me pray. I tell people to, you see, you now need to pray with me. But I was not so much specific, because that which I was praying, that prayer item, was something very huge. It was even deteriorating the quality of my relationship with God. It was like destroying the quality of my relationship with God, because everything was just in vain. I was feeling some void in my life. I even lock myself in a room. At some points I get depressed, whether I don't want to speak because I'm somebody who did not share his thoughts. So I just fight them in my room. But thank to God, because I think He gave me enough strength to sustain all that which I went through. So I realized that there is something much more I need to do. So I went to the scriptures. Just passing by the scriptures, and I get to a story was told in the Bible shortly, saying that with this, it is only possible by prayer and fasting, overcoming certain addictions, overcoming certain problems in somebody's life. I realized that by prayer alone it is not enough, but by prayer and fasting it is enough. So I had to now resort to go and pray and fast. I had to go to pray and fast. So it was just a Thursday evening. I had to go to the mountains, because I know in the Bible people went to the mountain, a cool place, a quiet place, communicating to God. I went with a friend. So we both had prayer items. Of course, it's important that I went with a friend, because the first time I was going to that place, this is something I've never done before. I've never get to such serious point in life where somebody has to go, pray, and fast. So I went. I spent from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I also went there. Saturday I stayed there, and all the way to Sunday morning. So this is so important. This is so interesting. Like having prayed, I didn't pray and fast without eating anything in the forest there. Some hours after I finished prayer and fasting, then I realized that I completely lost interest in that which I used to do, in that which I cherished, that sin which I cherished in my life. I realized that I completely lost interest, and even up to date, I didn't want even to think about it, because I'm somebody who believes that God has actually let me overcome all such which I went through. So I completely lost interest, and I came to realize, when somebody prays earnestly from the heart, then God is able to answer your prayers. When you believe that God can actually answer your prayers. Actually, that is the moment. By the way, I can say that I'm one person who did not believe in the power of prayer, because I believe this is something even not tangible. When I pray and I can't even actually feel, because I am somebody who expected things to happen very fast. When I ask for this, I need it very fast. I did not actually understand the power of prayer. I did not understand the power of timing when it comes to spiritual things. So I was not so serious in prayers. So I prayed and I fasted, and I actually overcame that which I was going through. So I can say that was the turning point. Because it is one thing that actually made me to. It was one thing that made me to actually even not come to church at some points, just stay in my room. But some later on, I gain up the spiritual momentum, and then I go back to church. But I saw it was just a waste of time. So ever since I received Christ, I think having prayed and fasted, I lost complete interest in such. So after that, I now told God that, God, now I've now begun a new life with you. I've now purposed in my heart not to go after such addictions that are not important. So, and now to think about renewing my relationship, I wanted something tangible, something that actually I feel is tangible. I had to now renew my relationship with God. So I came to realize that now that God, you have let me overcome all this, is there anything tangible that I can make with you so that every time I leave, I keep on remembering this? So I wanted to renew a covenant with God, because I'm one person who believes that renewing a covenant is something tangible. So I had to renew my covenant with God, and I had to go for the baptism, and now I completely began a fresh life with Christ. My life after meeting Christ, I say again, it has been so interesting. It has been full of responsibilities, because now you will now be a person in the society who is now looked up to, because people believe that somebody who goes to church is somebody who can be entrusted with certain responsibilities that are sensitive to the society. And so currently in church, I serve as an elder, and as the elder in that church, I take responsibilities like ensuring spiritual nourishment. I actually have a group which I supervise, and this group, they normally do missionary work. I can say around Nakuru. They go and minister to people every weekend in form of ministries, and I normally send people there every weekend to go and minister to the needs of the people in the society. People going through a lot, people going through addiction, I can say people going through drugs, people going through certain immorality issues in the society. So we first of all identify such kind of places. Then through my leadership, we've been able to reach a number of students, some of which have been able to turn from the kind of addictions, like we can mention those drugs that I've mentioned. So, and currently I can say now they are in church, and they are worshiping together with me, and they are saying it has been also a nice experience with them. It is something has really made their life change. So I can say serving as an elder, I've met a lot of souls, and the most important thing is to know the side story. I've been able to listen from the side stories, then I see where actually the ship capsized. When I say the ship capsized, I can say where actually things went wrong. So I actually first of all identify a root problem, then we see how best can we reach. We've been able to mobilize funds, because one of the reasons to even why people get disappointed in life is because a lack of care through financial outreach. Some, you realize they drop school, and having dropped school, they intend to be involved in the affairs that are not even bringing glory to God, and even that are a disgrace to the society. So you realize that some students, even in the university, some of them drop out of school because they lack money to take them through the academic year. So we mobilize funds, and at the end of it, they go to school, they do exams, and after all, they keep on staying in church, because that is therein they realize that up in church, that is where their hope is. They are in church, that is where their hope is, because when you mobilize such kind of need in their lives, they get to appreciate. So I really love doing this, because I think I'm not doing it in vain, because God has actually brought me thus far. So I can say also, because I love music, I have used music as an instrument of reaching people. I've used music as an instrument of reaching people. This is through organizing youths. I can organize because I realize that youths love music, and so I organize them. I train them a piece, and even not even training them a piece, but even beyond that, we now look beyond singing. What can be done beyond singing in church? Can we actually have some days whereby we go and donate blood? We go and show love to the society. During the Global Youth Day that was global in the whole world, we actually mobilized youths and to go and donate blood in a certain major hospital in Nakuru city, and I can say it was a nice experience, and we look forward to doing a lot of charity work, because when you get to engage youths, you give them something that they can do. They do not become idle, so that at the end of the day, they get engaged in acts that are so lustful, in acts that are so selfish. So my main opinion, I think I can say my major interest is that to engage youths. So because I realize most youths are so idle. If there is no money, if there is family problems, family issues, they tend to resort to influence in the world. And in that influence, they become idle. Some of them get to drug. So I want to ensure that I keep them busy. By keeping them busy, I let them sing. Even those who do not know even how to sing, there are a lot of things that they can do. They can help even in actually distributing charity stuffs in the society. So that is what currently I do. Overall, serving as an elder, it has been a nice experience in church, interacting with the students. So generally, that is what actually I do at the moment. So my life after meeting Christ has been so interesting, I can say. Though it has got challenges, because I'm not a person who believes, and I know even from reading the scriptures, I've believed that Christ did not promise us a safe journey, but a smooth arrival. So it has been a nice experience with him, getting to know people, getting to learn people, also getting to teach people. Interesting that you get to teach people, you see this and that, and you tell them, you know what, I've also gone through this. It is just simple. Just by praying, fasting can overcome all this. So it has been a good experience, and I still ask that I may ask God that I may continue walking in the path, staying in the ship, so that in case the ship is trying to capsize, I can just still stay in the ship. So that is all that I can say. It has been a nice experience. It is something interesting. I believe you won't regret when you make such a decision. Everybody else in the world somewhere have made such kind of decisions, and today they live to be so happy. Therefore, thank you so much. I believe this will be also a transformative session as you think about all those. It is important to meet Christ at some point in life, but only if you have an interest. I developed that interest, then he who was able, that is God, now gave me the ability to overcome all those that I was going through. Nice, and thank you. May God bless you.